Hey guys, back again with another Bricklaying vlog. Sorry it's been a few days, but I've had a few attempts at making these over the week. Since 3 days ago I uploaded the last video, and they weren't there. I don't just upload any old ramblings. I know it sounds like I do, but I try to keep the videos somewhat to a standard where I don't sound like death. And because if I did keep uploading just videos where they weren't very good, the voiceovers were terrible, I was just fucking incoherent, no structure, I'd just soon lose all my following. So I've got to sort of somewhat keep a standard of the videos I upload, because I just don't want to resort to time-lapsing footage with music constantly with a couple of interjections every so often. So I'm going to just sort of stick to the sort of every couple of days format of videos, just because I can easily manage voiceover in that sort of length. About half an hour is sort of the sweet spot. Probably 20 minutes is a bit easier. So I'm going to probably just bring more parts to videos but shorter. So yeah, so today's video, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to name the title, because I was going to name it The Fourth Lift from Hell, but it turned out not to be a bad earner this week. All things considering, since you can see I'm bent double on this scaffold. What the scaffolder had done, he'd set out the scaffold to the plot next door, which was a course or two higher than this plot, and basically he just couldn't be asked to move the cross sections down, so it fit my plot nicely. So yeah, you can have a go at other trades, other scaffolders, etc. for things not being right, but a lot of the time they ignore you. They're either on price or day work, and they're just not bothered anyway. And they're not like scaffolders. They're one of the trades where you can just make a complete balls up of a scaffold, and they'll hardly ever tell you off for it, hardly ever have to alter it. A lot of firms I've seen do terrible substandard work, and it's just sort of turned a blind eye at the moment. So it's one of them things. Anyway, apart from being bent double for the first 4 course, because basically the first course is just like half a brick above scaffold board, and then you've got like another 3 to bring you to sort of standard scaffold height, to where normally they'll put a scaffold, but they normally should do it 3 course above board. So you're basically doing 4 course. So basically when I get up to my feature brick, which like my feature corner brick, it's only a projecting brick, is when I'd be a standard normal starting scaffold height. So it's been a bit of a ball like this lift in that sense, but it's been, I've had a look at the price sheet I've been given, and the prices are working out slightly better than the measure, only by a little bit, but that's a good sign. That means we're getting actually the rates that's been advertised, which is a good sign for the guy we're working for. It's good, it's positive. It's a positive, definitely. So yeah, and today's video it's gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna go touch on a couple of different topics, but when it comes to today's footage in particular, I'm just building a big corner. I'm tailing one side out with the line in a profile, and then this other side I'm building freehand with a level. I've got a internal profile set up for the front that I did next video, well probably in 2 videos time, that you'll see. Because I'm trying to keep the videos a little bit shorter, you're gonna get 5, 6, 7 part series again for lifts, because I've recorded quite a bit of footage on this lift. I've recorded me building one gable, running one gable in just straight, long spread pick and dip as I normally always lay on this site. And then I've got obviously building this big corner with it's not really a big corner, it's only a 12 course corner, but building a elongated corner, should I say, with the profiles on level. And then I've got an internal profile setup which I use to run the front in. The strategy I took when building this 4th lift and which I'm going to take in subsequent 4th lifts, is just build all the corners first. The only thing I would have changed is probably building straight up to the expansion on some of the gables. Instead of building in like 4 sections, instead of like 2 corners, and then 2 sections up to expansion, so I'd cut out those in a sense. So this lift in particular, I'd have probably, if I had, because I was working solo a couple of days this week because the old man wasn't in, I was going to have another lad starting on this Monday coming, but I've got another lad starting who's already done a trial day. He's definitely starting next Monday, and then my missus is gonna come on and help me for a couple of days, just when I need a push, because I don't need CSCS cards on this site. And she's helped me before doing a little bit of private work that I've done before I did YouTube. So, you know, she knows how to carry brick clamps and use buckets and mortar, you know, carry buckets, etc. And spread. So, you know, she's going to help me out for a couple of days, because, to be quite honest, if you don't need a CSCS card, you know, I pay fucking hod carries a lot more than these minimum wage jobs. And, like, you know, she worked in childcare before fucking, you know, before we had our first child, and it's basically slave labour for what you get paid to look after children. It's fucking terrible. So, you know, she's gonna work with me 2 days a week. In effect, she's working for free, because I'm basically paying her to pay the car off, which I'm already paying. So yeah, so I'm basically getting a free worker for a couple of days a week, which, you know, it's good, because obviously whatever we earn goes into the household anyway, and it helps me avoid a bit of tax if I could pay her whatever. You know, if I pay her whatever, you know, even if I'm not covering wages on a particular day and I just pay her a set wage anyway, I'll pay less tax because I'm earning less, in effect. So, a little inside tip. It's not illegal, you know. You can pay workers whatever you think they're worth, and if you think they're worth X amount, you know, and you're making less because of it, you know, it's not illegal. It's just you know, it's just a way to stop yourself having to pay as much tax, because you're effectively giving your money away, but it's not really giving it away. It goes into the same household. But yeah, so that's what I'll be doing a couple of days a week as from 2 weeks time. So it'll be probably 3 weeks on YouTube, because I'm normally a week behind actual real time. So yeah, got a new lad starting the week after next, so expect a couple more solo days, because, to be quite honest, on these fourth lifts, some days are very suited to being solo. If you haven't got someone who can spread for you, if you haven't got someone who can go find lintels, go, you know, just set everything out and, you know, look after you. Pointing in such an issue on these concrete bricks, for instance, because they don't go off. It takes them a good, after you've laid them, it takes them a good 8 hours almost to go off. So, you know, a lot of the time, you know, you point up at the end of the day anyway, and it's one of them where, you know, it is a harder job to point them, to make them look neat. So it's something I'd rather do at the end of the day. I'm quicker than a lot of people than everyone. They all work with me at pointing. I'm the quickest, so I'd rather do it, and like, we'll set them loading something else out, you know. When it comes to these fourth lifts, I'm probably going to leave a little bit more work on these in future. So I said last, I don't know if I said last video or the video before, I'm probably going to take these, take the band lifts about 3 course lower, just because then I can strap my profile on, and I'll have 15 course to go out on these gables instead of 12. And 15 course, it's just a little bit more. It's a little bit more work, and it's just a little bit more worth doing. Instead of having to just, you know, if they put the scaffold at this height, you're bending for 12 course, whereas, you know, if they put it at proper height, you're not having to really bend. You're not really ever reaching. You're doing your soldiers at waist height / you know, chest height, where it's really easy. Everything works out a little better. So, and plus you can get your band lift down around a little bit easier. So instead of reaching 24 course, which what I was on the last band lift, I'm going to be reaching like 21, 22, and that's going to be a lot easier. It's just going to leave a little bit more work as well. Leave a little bit more work on the band lift, on the fourth lift, and just everything will flow a little bit easier. I find when you're reaching a bit high on them band lifts, I just find you can easily pull your work over onto yourself with these soapy bricks that they don't really hold the, you know, they can sometimes start smiling at you on gables and stuff. So it's just with the weight of them, especially in winter, you know, 21 course, you know, you go 10 course first time, then you go like, you know, a couple more course, and then you got your banding course that's a still out, and then a couple more higher than that, and you can easily like split your gables up into like 10 course runs, 8 to 10 course. It just mitigates your bricks sinking and your gables, you know, going on a bit of a curve. It's just one of them things that can happen with these concrete bricks. I just know that, you know, I've had some comments about them and saying, people saying I'm struggling winter, etc. There is a way to lay these bricks to where you can mitigate the leaning factor in a sense. As you noticed, I do long spread pick and dip, and if you noticed, I just don't put any grooves in. I don't tap the brick. If you noticed as well, I hardly ever tap these concrete bricks. And I'm very, very light with my hands, you know, I'm very light on my fingers with them, and you just got to press them just right into place. If you put too much bed on, you're going to start pressing the bricks below. If you put too little bread on, they're going to dip below the line. And these bricks take a very delicate hand to lay them in. This is why, you know, you can't get them down quite as quick. You can't just crash them in like you can the clay bricks. But with the right technique, with this long spread, you can easily slide them into place, and a lot of the time they'll stay where they're going to stay. So once you've laid them and you've pressed them into place, as long as you're not putting excessive force above tippy tapping, putting massive fucking stupidly big beds on, you know, you're not going to have a problem with sinking brickwork. It's just the fact of a lot of guys, especially when you've got 2 or 3 trowels on a gable and everyone's tippy tapping. They're all like, you know, putting big grooves in the spread, smashing the brick down, tap, tap, tap. Because a lot of guys, I've seen guys lay the bricks fast this way, but a lot of guys lay with tapping the brick. It's the way they lay, and they tap every brick. And it's one thing that can easily vibrate the wall, just unsettle the brickwork below. And it's the same on laying concrete blocks. You know, the same rules apply, but on brickwork, you've just got to be very delicate. That's why I spend an extra couple of, you know, swipes with my trowel, just making sure everything's flush, because that is just another way you can stop your brickwork from, you know, curling over in a sense, you know, out of plumb. Because once you start lipping your joints, it's very hard to get these back running flush and true. Because once you tap one brick below, the brick under that wants to move, and then it will spring back, and it's very difficult. And as well, expansions as well, I want to talk about on these concrete bricks, are very, 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 very touchy. It's not always recommended to go straight up with an expansion, like a dead plumb stop end. I've tried it over about 12 course, and I did get some like curling over. The brickwork was like bellying a little bit inwards in a sense. So what I'm going to do in future, I'm going to go like 6 course up an expansion, rack back about 6, and then fill in to that other side of the expansion, you know, whether it's 5 or 6 or 10 course or whatever, and rack back a little bit, and then drop to the other side of the expansion where there should be another corner up, and then do the same. And then you just fill in your expansion at the end, you know, just slowly. And even with profiles, which I use up an expansion, it still can happen. You know, it can be sometimes using too stiff a gobbo as well. If you're using too stiff gobbo, you're smashing the brick down, and then as soon as the stiff gobbo touches these bricks, it goes wet anyway. So it is a difficult one. I'm going to go through a few different techniques and strategies of laying these without having as little issues as possible. Like I say, the reason I am on this site is because it is so close to home. It's so close to home, and it's the best rates I've ever been on. You know, it's £100, £1,000 more than I was on at the last site, and like I said, the site's that close. The site has got another 2 one-on-one gangs on, so it's tailored to one-on-ones. Really, it's, you know, it's accepted. It's everyone's, you know, the management's happy with it. And that's a big reason, because on every site I've been on before, I get complained at for being a one-on-one. I get complained I'm not quick enough. I get complained that, I just got complained there's not enough people in the gang. You know, it's no good with just 2 of us. You know, and I've fought that on sites for years and years. Every site I've been on, it's always been an issue. Program. But on here, they seem to be happy just us fitting in wherever we fit. So, you know, say we're on a lift, build that lift up, square it up, boom, scaffold lift next, onto the next one, and there's no you know, we might be a little bit slower than other gangs, we might be, you know, a little bit quicker than others, but, you know, everyone's at different pace, everyone works different amount of hours, and, you know, on this site particularly, it doesn't seem to be an issue at the moment, and we're able to just drop to drop, slab to slab, lift to lift without any issue. So that's another reason I'm laying these concretes, because the site is ideal. The site's ideal for the situation I'm in at the moment, and no CSCS cards required, so it's really easy to get replacement, odd carriers, improvers, whatever. You know, if anyone jacks up, which has been the case, you know, constantly in the last couple of months, you know, I can easily replace people if need be. But you know, it seemingly won't be an issue if the missus is helping me out a couple of days a week, and you know, it's just gonna be it's a different environment, I find. You know, it's when you're working with people you like being around, it's different. You know, like me and the old man, I've always got on, but he's getting to the point now where he's just struggling. He don't really want to come into work anymore. It's a bit too hard on him, and it'd be nice to be working with people who actually want to be there, in a sense, because my old man, he don't really want to work anymore. I don't think he don't really want to do any more odd carrying, but he's just helping me out now at this stage. So it'd be nice to work with someone who does want to be there. Everything goes a little bit more smoother. You seem to get more done. Everything's a nicer environment when everyone's there under their own choice. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, it'd be good. But apart from that, that's what I've talked about with these builds, with the strategy of the build today. I did say I was going to build all the corners first, and that's basically what I did in this video. I built 1, 2, 3, 4 corners, and I built the internal, so that was it. And then obviously, because we have to take the block right up to window, on the band lift it's only a briquette and a block, and that's it. You're at pan, so dead easy. I'll have a cut up to do, I'll have the top outs to do on these, or pikes, whatever you want to call it, and people call them pikes, etc. on YouTube. I've got them to do sometime next week, but I'm not quite sure what I'm dropping onto on Tuesday, because I've got the soldiers to do again on Monday, like we did last video with the soldiers that you guys have seen. I've just got a split course of block and a course of my soldiers to fill in, so I'll be doing that the same way. I've ordered some T-clamps from last video. I was using F-clamps, but they might not arrive in time, so I'll be using F-clamps again, I think. But all these runs of soldiers are all shorter, so they'll be a lot easier to, you know, lay on, and I'm a bit more familiar with everything and more up to speed on soldiers again after watching that video and various other people's. So, you know, that shouldn't be an issue. So I've got, you know, an easy day on Monday. Everything's there, everything's loaded out more or less, and you know, just gotta get it finished, and then we're gonna be on to something else. So I'll let you know. Might be a garage, might be another plot. We'll see what's happening until my top outs are ready, because I said I don't want to move off this site because it's just ideal. And even if I have to square someone else's work up, because yeah, I've even made money squaring other people's plots up on measure, even because the drawings work exactly to the measure anyway. So you're not really, if you can cover your money on measure, you're effectively working to the price. The only advantage is if you're obviously on a fresh lift, you can leave a bit on for your neck, you know, for your fourth lifts, or you know, etc. You know, I'll leave a bit on anyway for doing tapping cavities. That's one thing I used to do as well. If I'm on a lift, I won't book it all the way off. When I've squared it up, I'll book it off the week after when I've got it past inspection. So if I have to spend half a day tapping cavities and cleaning or altering stuff, you know, I'm still covered. So yeah. But apart from that, that's the build. That's what I want to talk about when it comes to the build today. I'll make some more videos about more tools I'm going to get coming up in the next few weeks. Also, the other topic I want to talk about today is just a little bit maybe controversial. It may be a bit, you know, it's maybe not what people want to hear coming into the trade, but when you're learning bricklaying as an apprentice, however old you are, it doesn't matter. But you know, a lot of guys, you know, they leave school at 16 and go to college, and normally 16 stroke 17 is when you'll first start your first year at college, and if you're lucky enough, you'll get an apprenticeship within that time, or within from 16 to 18. And one thing I want to emphasize about guys who are like 18, 19, 20, even 21, who are just out of the time, or just gonna come out of the time, or they're learning the trade, you don't worry about making loads of money straight away. And why I say this is because you're not going to make a lot of money when you first come out of your time. I had massive high hopes, even after doing 6 years bricklaying, three years at colleges, 3-year apprenticeship. I thought, I looked how long I've been doing it. I thought, I'm going to earn some fucking, some good money. I'm going to earn £1,000 a week. I'm going to earn fucking loads. And I just didn't. I wasn't quick enough. I used to get too many things wrong. I was fucking stuck looking at drawings, not understanding it, asking question after question, fucking not talking to the subby, getting the correct prices, not counting up my work, not knowing how to book in properly. There's so many things I just didn't know, and I was completely fucking disappointed when I came out of my time. When I came out of my time, I was on basically £100 a day, basically what I pay odd carriers now, with no experience. And literally I was completely, disenfranchised with bricklaying for fucking years. And I was completely, it was a mystery to me why I wasn't making any decent money. It was a mystery why all these years I'd put in to learning it weren't sort of paying off in a sense. And it's because I didn't have experience in organising work on my own, organising, building lifts on my own, building, taking on builds, whether it's a garden wall, etc. I just didn't have enough experience building from start to finish on my own. And this is a thing that you've got to realise when you work in a gang, when you're an apprentice, and the leaders setting the profiles up, doing all the booking in, getting all the windows, everything. They're taking on a lot of responsibility and a lot of organisation that you're just not even thinking of. And there's things that you'll not even know that they're doing that you're going to get wrong when you go on your own, or you're going to get wrong when you come off a day work and you go on your own on price. And all these things will slow you down tremendously till you'll get to the point where after you've paid your hod carrier every week, you're left with almost equal split with the hod carrier sometimes. This is how it was working out with me. When I first went sort of on my own with a hod carrier, me and the hod carrier were earning the same every week. I was paying like a hod carrier £70 a day, and I was sometimes booking in £400 in a week, and I was paying the hod carrier £350. And this was obviously in the price as well, a lot lower. We're on like £330 a hour, or £340 I think. And it was weird. I thought, I've put all these effort in, I'm 6-7 years into bricklaying, and seemingly I can't earn any fucking money. I might as well go and work at, be a labourer. And I was like, I was even thinking like things like that. And you've not got to get down on yourself like that. You've got to think, right, what am I doing? Focus on what I'm building, watch, learn from my mistakes, etc. And then over time you'll speed up, you'll become more familiar with whatever you're taking on, whatever site you're working on. You'll be more familiar with the work. You'll know what to do first, which order to build things in, and then you'll start earning a bit of money. And it won't be a lot at first. You might only be earning £500-600 a week, sometimes what improvers are getting paid. But all those times you're actually improving in a sense, more than just working with a gang. And you haven't got to be focusing on the money side so much. You've just got to be focusing on the work you're doing. And over months and months, you just start speeding up a little bit, and just enjoy it as well. Try and enjoy the experience of working on your own, the freedom, not having to answer to a ganger or whatever, or a bricklayer you're working with. And then by enjoying it and being aware of what you're doing, then you'll start earning a bit more money. Time after time after time, it'll just get a little bit easier. And you might be even 6-7 years into bricklaying at this point, even 6 years, depending on how many years you spent at college before getting on site, but you know, at least having 3 or 4 years site experience, you might get to this point of where you're sort of, you know, maybe earning £500-600 a week, depending on what sites you're on, etc. Obviously, I'm sort of going off, you know, prices that are very old now, so you could probably expect, you know, a bit 50% more than that in a sense because of the times and the climate. But you know, it takes fucking years and years to get a grip of things and get confident as well. This is a big thing that you'll not have as coming out your time or as an apprentice. You'll not have the confidence to know you're doing it right every time. And you know, there's sometimes I come across, you know, fucking bits of work and I'm 90% confident that I'm doing it right, but there's always a little bit of doubt in my mind. Maybe I've missed something, maybe I've missed a tie, or I've missed a fucking tray, or, you know, there's something I've missed. Like, for instance, when I took over these band lifts, obviously, you know, luckily for me, or unluckily in a sense, I took over them where there was meant to be kitchen vents, and the person who took over the work hadn't put the kitchen vents in the extractor vents. And I'd seen them before on sites multiple times, leaving out, you know, 2 or 3 bricks for a circular vent. But on this site, it's just a singular circular brick a single air brick on the outside, and then a circular vent on the blockwork. But all the blockwork was already done when I started, and I just carried on as normal. And I realised now that those vents should be in, so I should have been smashing blocks out then. But I didn't catch that one. And next time, whenever they come to put the kitchen in, they'll probably want me to put an air brick in somewhere, which will take, you know, whatever, half an hour or whatever to do. But even times I still forget stuff. I miss stuff all the time. I miss ties. I accidentally got a tie in the wrong course on the brick, so I bend it up into the wrong course of brick. It's easy to do. There's always stuff you'll get wrong, but when you first start out your time and stuff like that, and try going on your own or try sort of work independently, you know, you'll not have that. You'll have a lot less confidence to realise you're doing things right or doing things wrong in a sense. So you've got to sort of just take your time. You know, don't worry about what you're earning a week, even if you're earning the same as you were as an apprentice for the first year or two. Just accept that's what you're going to do. But you're taking that time to learn again. You're learning on top of learning. So you've already learned how to lay bricks. You've already learned how to take on builds. But now you need to learn how to actually make money at it, and that's a different whole kettle of fish. It's all right being able to build a fourth lift, build a band lift, build a first lift from ground floor, set all your windows out. It's all right being able to do all that, but then actually be able to do that quick enough to make money at, you know, that is a whole different beast in itself. And that's one thing you've got to really, you know, work on for years. Because obviously, like myself, I've been in a lucky situation where I was on footings for a year or so. Then I was on a lot of boundary walls, a lot of garages. I've done a lot of different sorts of remedial work in a sense to where, you know, I've been on day work for a number of months in little fits and starts, and I've had time to learn while getting paid a good bricklayer's day wage, and I've had the opportunity to be on straight walls, you know, easy bits of work for me to get my trowel speed up to standard and up to speed as well. And then obviously I've been on housing multiple times for different stints, but I'd say if I stay on this site for a year, you know, it'll be the longest stint I've been on constant housing. So it'll be my biggest sort of my biggest achievement in a sense at speeding up my house building, and that'll be obviously just, you know, it'll only speed up by fractions every week or every month, but it'll be my longest stint and most successful stint building houses, because a lot of the time I used to get pissed off with prices and lift prices and etc. I used to get pissed off that it wasn't all straight walls and we had windows, etc. And now obviously of years of just building straight walls and garages and, you know, an odd few plots here and there, I've built the trowel speed up to where now I can just make money really building anything. Just depends on what I want to build. And at the moment I'm liking housing. I like fourth lifts. I like second lifts, to be honest. You know, squaring stuff up to floor, squaring stuff up to pan. They're probably one of my most, you know, my more favourite lifts in a sense. Not because I make the most money at them. It's just because they're more interesting. You know, rolling damps out, doing lintels, finding, you know, getting everything sitting well, And obviously Charlie Collison puts a lot of content out how to get your fourth lifts and your second lifts all sitting, where your murder lifts or whatever, all your lintels sitting nice, all your levels right. And it's something that is to me it's quite interesting, rather than just crashing straight gables in all day. You have more, there's more thinking to your day, and it gives you a little bit more satisfaction when you manage to get 400 or 500 bricks down on a fourth list, while putting all your damps on, all your lintels on, and getting all your heads ready, and still being able to get a big chunk of measure in, even with all your technical stuff in there, is an achievement. So that's one thing that I'm liking at the moment with housing. It poses its own set of challenges without just fucking smashing straight walls in with 18-inch pillars and shit like that. It poses its own set of challenges, but I like it. It's different, and in a sense, you can get your bricks down a bit quicker on a gable than you can a wall, because you don't have pillars, because you don't have fucking to joint both sides like on garages and stuff. So everything has its own little perks, but that's one thing that I'm liking at the moment in housing. And that's one thing as an apprentice you've got to realise. You're not going to make money on all types of work that you touch at first. It takes years to build that speed, and it's just laying speed, really, being able to lay the brick in any situation. And that's one thing that'll just come with time. And once you hit that threshold after 6, 7, 8, 9 years on site, and they're coming on 9-10 years on site experience, not like years at college, but years actually on site, that's when you'll get there. For me, I think it happened, I'd been on site since 2012, so I'm 9 years on site. Obviously not 9 years bricklaying, obviously I've done a lot more years at colleges, but 9 years actually on site. I'd probably hit that threshold after the 7th or 8th year. So probably a year before I did YouTube, I was hitting that threshold to where I could sort of make money anything I touched. And it's one of them, when you get there, it makes all these years of effort and learning all worth it, because then you ain't got to stress about what work you go on. You can always make money doing it, especially in a one-on-one. But you'll get there eventually. You just got to not stress about the money at first and just take your time learning everything. And it's the best time to do it right now. There's more content than you can even think on YouTube. The prices are the best they've ever been. There's just no excuse when it comes to learning and being able to get better, that this is the perfect time to do it. And you have a lot of guys on YouTube say in the comments here saying, I can lay this many blocks, I can lay this many bricks, and I only get paid so much day work. And at the end of the day, if you think you're worth more, go on your own on price, and then see how much you'll actually earn, and you'll be really shocked. I thought I was worth fucking 10 times more than I was getting paid when I was apprentice, and then I went on my own and I was earning the same. I was earning the same, if not less, than I was when I was getting just paid a day wage. So it's one of them, you've got to really, really take the risks yourself to progress, and that's what I encourage more lads to do. Like a lad who was just out of his time when I took over his work here, that was, it's pretty rough, pretty bad. He might not, he might have got a load of things wrong, might not have learned anything, not been paid for some of his incorrect work. But to be quite honest, fair to play to the lad, he was trying to go on his own. He was trying to, he was 20 years old, trying to have a crack at site work on his own. And he was doing the right thing, learning, because all these things he got wrong that he won't have got paid for, etc., will all be a learning experience to him, and he'll never do it again, hopefully, if he's learned. And this is what you've got to do. You've got to go through these times of when you're going to get things wrong, you're not going to get paid for certain things because they're incorrect, or people are going to knock your work down. And these are all times where they're golden. You've got to learn from these, and this is how you're going to progress the fastest. So yeah, anyway, that's my little video on it's going to be advice for apprentices, and it's going to be it's one of the things you've got to do. You've got to serve your time in a sense, and do all your shit work, and go through the trial and error to really achieve a proper bricklayer's wage, and be able to earn it every day on price, and even on as a day worker. So anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching. I'm going to record another one tonight and try to get a couple of videos out this weekend. Sorry for my lack of uploads, but I've just been busy with stuff. And yeah, I hope you guys have had a good week. I've had my best week so far on this site, so let's hope for better weeks to come. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.